Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. This is Thursday, January 11th. We're coming to you right here from the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios and live on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio and 1420 AM Lubbock Christian Nation. Hope you guys have had a fantastic day. It's been an awesome day at the Rock Health and Wellness Center. We've got a fantastic show for you tonight. We have our nutrition director, Kim Van, here in the studio with us and live right here on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And she is going to share with you some information about why she's here, what she does here, what she plans on doing here. However this is going to go. Kim's an awesome person. She comes from an awesome family, and she's got there's a lot of them in this town. And she's a go-getter. We're so glad that she came on board last year, helped us with our nutrition program, and we just keeps evolving and getting better as it goes. So I hope all you guys out there will enjoy the show. I think everything is good to go. We're working through you guys that were on the radio last night. We apologize for not getting to you. We had some major difficulties in the studio yesterday, but Ken and Bob got to work on it, and they were working hard and finally got it all fixed. So I think we're good to go on the radio. We're good to go on our Facebook page, and so we're just going to get after it. We're not going to waste any more time. I'll talk about a little bit last night's show once we move into the second part of the show and the second half of the show. But Kim's going to be with us on this first half, so I thought it'd be great just to get right to it. And if you guys have comments, if you have questions, you can send us a text, 806-794-0400. We've got our text line open. And if you would like to send us a message on Facebook, and if you would like to share this webcast tonight and get it out there to the whole world and let everybody know that Kim's in the building, then we would love that as well, too. So, Kim, welcome to the Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. Yeah. I know that they hear about this a lot in our staff meetings and all the things that we can do to try to make this show better. And so one of the things I thought was maybe we could get prettier faces on the show than myself. That might help if we got that done. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell us, we'll just get started. So tell us a little bit about your background, your chiropractic background, and how you got to the Rock Health and Wellness Center.
Okay. Well, my family and I started coming to the Rock Health and Wellness Center's patients about 15 years old.
Yeah, I tried to remember that. Yeah, I tried to remember 15. That last night.
I know Tegan was
I thought he was 4 or 5.
4.
Yeah,
because I still have the picture of him in his little stuffed animal. Remember,
Yep.
He would bring his stuffed animal so you could adjust the animal, and then Tegan, and that helped with his just not uncertainty of what was going on. But, that started with us 15 years ago. We brought in our youngest daughter, Cody, because she was suffering from many allergies and asthma and on so many medications. And my husband, Paul, was like, well, how are we ever going to know if she's grows out of it, or, we just going to keep giving her all these meds. And I was introduced to chiropractic care by my sister, and that's where you came in. And I remember being that person sitting there in that room when you were talking about chiropractic care. I pretty much had my arms folded, and I just didn't necessarily believe everything you were talking about. But I needed it. I needed something more, because what we were doing wasn't working. It wasn't helping. And so I would say within 4-6 weeks, the whole family was coming.
Yeah.
And this has been many years of you working with us and walking us through many things, many injuries, many illnesses, hospital visits. And it became you're the first person that I would call when things would come up. Be like, okay, Dr. Clemmons, this is happening. What do I do? So just the success of that propelled us into this lifelong. It will be a lifelong and has been a lifelong journey in chiropractic care. And it's so much more than people could even imagine. And then coming to work here, there's a whole nother level of care that we get here with brain and health and wellness and fitness, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, later. But I remember when my turn came to have my patient meeting with you, and I ended up being the worst one off, and I was so disappointed. I was like, dang, I'm the worst one. But you brought a lot of those things to life, like my cervical curve. No one ever talked to me about that, and why I was having so many headaches and why I couldn't sleep. So it's been an amazing journey, and here we are.
Yeah. And I want to touch on something she said right there too. It's like after 4 to 6 weeks with the whole family, that folded your arms, sitting back, not believing that deal. That's what I did for 12 years. My brother-in-law was a chiropractor. You guys know that. I would watch Leslie, my wife, get adjusted, and I'd sit back there, and sometimes I'd be in the office and I'd just cross my arms the same way, right?
Yep.
And I was like, he's so full of crap. Like he's telling her one leg's longer than the other one. Like, oh, come on, man. Like, sure. And all the negative things that you could say, I was that way too. So when you switch, it seems to me like the ones that are the most questioning of it, when they finally flip, they're the strongest ones on the other side, because it challenged them at such a level, right? There was such a challenge level. And then the second part of that was the whole family, including your husband.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a big deal. That's a hard thing. And we love her husband, and we are glad he's a part of this whole family as well. But it's a big deal to get the husband and wife on board with what's going on. I take care of a lot of moms and kids, and dad's like, nah, it's not for me. I'm not part of the deal. But when the dad gets involved in the care, it really changes it from a global perspective right there.
Absolutely. And it was that way. And I just remember being, I told Paul, I was like, I feel led to be here. We need to be here. Yeah. We made it work. I came 4 in the first 6 weeks.
In the beginning, that's what we were doing 4 times a week.
Yeah. And I
trying to work on that cervical curve.
I dedicated myself to it. And then Tegan was young, like I said, and he'd sit on the table with me. And I know I know we have some patients who maybe don't want to bring their kids or feel like it's going to upset the office or disrupt the office. And no, bring them. Yeah. Like we're a family friendly.
Yeah, we were throwing a fit this afternoon. Leslie was carrying around a crying baby this afternoon, and so we tried this once before. Earlier in my career, I tried to get Kim on board. I tried to do the things that we're doing now. I just wasn't ready to do it. We talked Kim into coming on board for a short period of time. I didn't know it was going to be a short period of time, but I didn't have the skill set, and that's one of the things that I've learned over my course of all the time that I've been doing this. And I didn't know it in the beginning, but one of the things that I learned is that sometimes it just takes time. It just takes practice. It just takes years. It's kind of like this podcast. We've come a long way in 4 months already, but I just didn't know all this stuff. And so the first time around, I didn't have the skills to sustain it. And so then Kim was doing some other stuff, and she was working in a different place. And then she started took over a fitness group, a ladies' fitness group, and started teaching and becoming certified and doing all that stuff. And 4 mornings a week, 5 mornings a week, 5 mornings a week, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting ready and having her classes with her ladies. Tell us a little bit just about that experience.
Well, June marked 12 years of being a certified personal trainer. Yes, I started being a trainer. I taught 5 days a week. Our class was at 5 o'clock in the morning. And that was a lot for me as well as for others as well. I craved and needed that accountability, and the space where I was the perfect space for me. And I showed up every morning, and my ladies showed up every morning. And that truly it became our little workout family unit. And it was an amazing adventure. Like I said, I'm a certified personal trainer. And then I became a certified health coach. And that has helped me in the trajectory into where I am today. And when I talk about health and wellness, I mean the all around parts of health and wellness. I mean, yes, we want to talk about weight and things like that, but we want to get more in depth into that. And so, 6 years and after becoming a trainer, I then took over the franchise and became the owner in this area. So I not only did I own the West Texas area, I purchased the Arizona territory as well. And so,
so you're training people all over the multi-state.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's cool. And that's something that we've continued when Kim came on board with us here at the Rock. We just kind of merged those two things together.
Yes.
She brought her classes in, and she teaches those classes on Tuesday and Friday mornings. She's got a 5:15 a.m. class and then a 6 o'clock a.m. class. And she's got some room in that 6 o'clock class. If you ladies are interested, and it's a ladies only class, and that is, but she still does have some room in the 6 o'clock class on Tuesdays and Fridays. And one of the coolest things is I've come in here and listened to them, and first of all, she's a slave driver, man. She's a driver, man. She will coach your tail off. And she gets after it in the morning. It's kind of fun to listen to it. But and the other thing is that after they get finished and they cool down, they do a prayer for the day. Yep. It's a really awesome little deal. They get in a little circle and they take prayer requests, and then they do the prayer and so one of the things that I learned from CrossFit in going through that and studying Greg Glassman and all that stuff was the social aspect was the key to it all. Right? We've all had those gym memberships where we just paid the money and we've just never gone. Right? We didn't have the accountability. We didn't have the social group to work. And now what really tied me into that deal is because of how the brain works. And we talk about that multiple times, that the brain, being social is the best thing you can do for your brain. So exercise is brain work too. We've said that before. You talk about being cardio, it really ought to be neuro.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing neuro today instead of doing cardio today. We're really working on our brain. So that's really impressive. So if you guys want to do that and join us here, then if you want to join that class, Kim's got some spots. You can just send us a text or send us a message and get in touch with us. So then you came on as our nutrition director.
Yes.
So we started. I spent some time with my good friend Joe Fraley in Ruidoso, and Joe was doing some things that kind of convicted me that we could do here in the office with some of the technology that he was doing, and I basically evolved my skill sets from the first time we tried this to a new level that we actually had a more solid foundation and program to put together. And so just kind of tell them just a little bit about what we do in our nutrition program. They've heard it. The ones that's been listening to us have heard it before, but I just want them to let you explain it to them from that standpoint, kind of what that's all about.
Well, I'll send an initial email, and you'll have some paperwork to fill out. We're going to do some system survey. We're going to do some toxicity survey, and then we're going to do a health history report. And so bring that in with you. We do things a little bit different here, but if you've listened, you understand it's more about, it's more than just the food. Yes, that's important, but we really want to know, how is your body functioning? Because after doing this for 12 years, like you said, 5 days a week, consistency matters, and your why matters, and knowing that this is a life journey. It's not going to be an 8-week quick fix. It's going to be a life journey. And that's where we start with our nutritional foundation. So you're going to have an x-ray on your cervical curve. And a lot of people come in here and they don't understand why that. And I'm like, well, explain it to you, I promise. But how your brain is working, how is the information getting fired to your brain? That's really important here at the Rock Health and Wellness Centers. We're going to do a reflex app. I'm going to take a recording of your pupils. Again, that has to do with brain activity. Dr. Clemmons talks about it a lot. I talk about it in my classes. Where you are here drives everything else. So we're going to also do a heart sound recording. That's an amazing little instrument there. And I'm going to record all 4 of your heart valves, and it's going to be printed off. onto a sheet. As the scan is printed off, and then Dr. Clemmons will monitor that with like what a normal heart graft is going to look like. And that is, and you can get more in depth to that if you would like, but that's going to talk about nutrition deficiencies that you could possibly have. And then we're going to do a heart rate variability scan. So I'm going to put a heart monitor on you, and we're going to take you through 4 ways. We're going to lay down, stand up, we'll put you under, we'll challenge you a little bit, and then calm you down a little bit with that. And that gives us a good printout of your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, and can point us into ways that your body could be going. Maybe you need more rest and recovery. Maybe your fight or flight response is elevated. And then one of the most popular ones that we do is the in-body scan. Everyone loves and hates the in-body scan. So it's going to be a comprehensive printout of your body composition. It measures your muscle, your bone, your fat, your inflammation, your visceral fat, gives you your caloric intake that is necessary to keep you exactly where you are. I just love that it measures each body part. It's not just the weight. It breaks it down, and that's helpful. That's helpful because all we've been taught is to look at the weight. But I want to know how much muscle you have, and then a lot of things that we talk about in class, as well as you talk about, is bone density and how important that is as well. And then we do an omega-6/3 ratio finger prick test. So that's the one that gets sent off to the labs, comes back, and we see what your omega-6/3 ratio is. That's going to tell us about inflammation. And that has been a true marker on health and wellness. I've had many patients come in that visually they look one way, and you would think, oh, that's the epitome of health. But then you get all this paperwork back, and they really are suffering from some things that are unseen. So I love the way we go through top down, inside out is a term that Dr. Clemmons uses a lot. And that is truly, truly what we do. And then I'll send you a month's worth of recipes and snack ideas that's going to help balance your insulin and omega-6/3 ratios.
Yeah, and that's great. And it's that's really funny that you said that one of the most popular thing is the in-body scan.
Yes, they want to know.
And to me, the heart rate variability is the thing that gives the most. It's like the nerd part of me is looking at that part, and everybody else is wanting to know what the body composition part of it is. Yeah, it's been super good. We've mentioned it multiple times on the show, that how cool it is that I don't know these people.
No.
Right? It's a really cool experience for me, and we've both experienced it. Because a lot of the people that have come in, Kim knows them, and so she has the background story, but she doesn't talk to me about the background story. Well, she just collects all the data, and then she gets it to me, and then I go through it, and then when I sit down with them, I tell them things about themselves that they never told me about. And it's kind of surprising to them that we know so much about them. And it's really cool for me because I tell them, I'm like, look, I don't know you personally, but I know your numbers, and I know what your nervous system's doing, and I know what your cervical curve is, and I read through your history report. That's a big deal to me too. And when you fill that out, if you want to do our nutritional program, then filling out that history report, I read every single one of those. I read every line on that whole thing, and I listen to what people are telling me, and I glue those things together. Like what you're saying on your history form matches what's going on with your heart rate variability, what's going on with your heart sound recorder, what your body composition is, all those things. And so it's really cool how that's affected. Tell me some of the things that either through feedback of the results that we've got. I know you've told me a few of those, or just your take about what you've seen with those results that might be said differently or come from a different perspective about what you've seen than what they might have heard me say in the past.
Well, we've had great success, and I know you're going to hear that all over the place, but success to me is, how is that person feeling? Okay. We have a lot of And I will say, 90% of my nutrition patients are probably female. We've got some male patients that come in. So just tired, not being able to sleep, can't shut my brain off, feeling anxious about things, worried about things. And then we take them through these tests, and just introducing a couple of supplements, and maybe they haven't even changed the way they're eating just yet, just the fish oil. I hear so many stories. One of my workout ladies was like, "Oh, this may sound crazy, but my nails are amazing." And I said, "It's not crazy, it's real." Or, we've had another patient say, "I don't crave the alcohol anymore. Like, it has calmed me enough," whether it's the magnesium that we put them on, or a couple of those supplementals, those natural supplements that we put them on. Because of the readings has done amazing. We've had patients who've lost amazing weight, and it was changing. Okay, I just cut sugar out, or once you do those tests for us and those toxicity questionnaires, you could be eligible for a detox program. And some of these ladies have done that in order to jumpstart this nutrition journey that they're on. We've had a loss of 40 pounds, a loss of 30 pounds, a loss of 25 pounds, a loss of inches. But what we hear is my legs don't hurt anymore. My joints don't hurt. I can sleep better. Taking magnesium has calmed my nerves, what we would probably call anxiety, which that's a whole nother story for me in that word. But I feel better because I take the magnesium in the morning, and then I take the magnesium at night, and it helps me sleep. So finding out what is your body missing, what is it deficient in, it'll help you sleep. It'll just help you feel better. The amount of success stories we have just by their bodies feeling better.
And finding out what nutritional deficiencies you have based on some kind of collected data.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Whether
yes.
it's subjective through the questionnaires that we use, or whether it's objective through some of the technology that we use, it's not a shot in the dark, right? It's like, hey, this, and we do enough of them to cross reference,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
the toxicity questionnaire and the symptom survey will cross reference with actually the heart sound recorder and the heart rate variability. And so you may end up getting what I get when I put it all together is multiple things telling me that the person needs B12
Yes.
or B vitamins, not
Yes.
B12, but B vitamins, right? It's the multiple things together talking about the omega-3s. The test itself is we get inflammatory subjective complaints on the symptom survey, and we get high omega-6-3 ratio on the test itself. So it's not like, well, we just went to Nature's Tonic and just decided which bottles look the coolest or whatever, or somebody at work said I should take this, or somebody at church said that they were taking this and their nails got better or whatever. Like we do that a lot, right? Off of just some crazy thing out but that's really not what the program is about. So
and I want to address age. There is no age limit on this. Like, we have some young high school athletes that have come in, checking heart rate variability, and we go through the nutrition thing. And so that's something that I think I've been asked that question. So I want people to know that bring in your children. All my kids have done it. And it's definitely been a game changer.
Well, one of our greatest, our best success stories was a college student, right? I mean, that was that had been dealing with a lot of stuff, and so that's a good point. Is the age point? I haven't really pointed that out, about the different age brackets and things that we could do. Like we've talked about, we've got some kids in the pipeline that are high school kids that need to be evaluated and taken care of properly, that need some help. So the cool thing about Kim, so we coming from such a large family, and matter of fact, they're Guinness Book of World Records famous family. Yes, is what they are. The most Texas Tech graduates or attendees or graduates.
Graduates.
So the family with the most Texas Tech graduates anywhere. That's any university.
The family members graduating from the same university.
Yes, the most family members graduating from the same university on the planet in the Guinness Book of World Records, right here. The Winchies from right here from Texas Tech, and so there's a bunch of them. And one of the cool things about that for you guys and for me, as being selfish, is Kim's ability to talk to everyone, no matter how old or young they are, male or female, doesn't make any difference. She has so much, just family wise. There's so many of you that it goes from the oldest to the youngest, and we're talking about 70, 80-year-olds to newborns, right? And there's a bunch of them together. So so we're coming up to the end of this segment. Kim, I really appreciate you coming on the show. You guys, I hope you've enjoyed this part of it. If we can help you with your nutrition, Kim's here for you. You can just get in touch with us, and we will make sure that you get taken care of properly and get all the love you need to make sure that you can be as healthy as possible for as long as possible. It's not a quick fix.
No.
But and hopefully this time we got Kim here to stay for way longer than last time. So thanks so much for coming on the show. We're going to take a break. We'll be back here in just a few minutes, and we'll talk about some more health stuff. So we'll be right back.
Bye.
So all you guys, thanks. For this first half. Kim, thanks for this first half. We really appreciate it. If you guys have any comments, if you'd like to share this with anyone out there, we would really appreciate it. There's 2 comments right there. Let's see what we got. So Dora says Kim is a great trainer.
Thanks, Dora.
Yeah, so thanks, Dora. Yes, that's right. And Ken Adams says my face is pretty enough. So
that's true.
Ken, appreciate that.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
So anybody else that has questions or whatever, feel free to send them in. And otherwise, Kim, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and we're all done right here. The camera's still rolling right there. You can take that off. Yeah, we'll just take that. Yeah, it's all right. We're on the.
Okay.
We're out of here right now, and I'll just turn this off. And thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Let me get all this stuff put up. Yeah, sometimes you just get real lucky. And you guys met Brooke on Monday, and about from having her here in the office. Let me see if I need to get this turned off here. And then we've had the opportunity to get Kim back in here, and she was in the middle of transitioning from jobs, and I was like, I don't think she was out of a job for 24 hours before she got offered this job. So we were glad that she was in transition. It was one of the luckiest things for us to have her in transition, and so I was really glad that ended up happening. And she does just such a great job of taking care of people. She's got such a big heart, and it's not just that either. She's got some background in working with people. She's got some background in raising kids, trying to raise them. She's the one that gave us that whole idea about having an ingredient home instead of a food home. And she was talking about her kids from that standpoint, saying there's nothing to eat, but really there's something that you actually have to cook. So, okay, we're going to start back here. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Jason Clemmons. You're listening to Life with Jason. Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. Whatever the name of this show is. Appreciate you guys listening. We're glad to have Kim on the show. Hope you guys enjoyed that. She's fantastic. She's a great part, a great addition to what we're trying to do here. She's super professional, and I'm really glad that she's with us. So let's talk just a little bit about last night's show. And, as we're working through this whole thing, I keep I keep working on it myself because I'm just trying to I'm trying to get better and better at it. And I was so excited about starting that book, The Master and His Emissary, last night. And then I went back and watched it, and I was disappointed at how boring it was. I know that sometimes these shows, just like that Wednesday night show, was a little boring, and I probably am a little hard on myself, but I know that there was a lot of exciting. So next Wednesday, when we start chapter 1 of the book, I'm going to try to see if I can make it more exciting, because it is super exciting to me about how it works and what's going on and with the brain. And then I wanted to touch on a couple of articles, because what we were talking about last night is and it goes right in along with the second half of the show on Monday, when we talked about the taking health to church and mental health, right? When we talked about mental health, and then we're trying to carry that over on Tuesday when we talked about mental health. And so last night it was like, what are we trying to talk about? Like, why do I love that book so much? Because we're talking about health and wellness. We're trying to give people the tools so that you just know the information so that you can make the best decision for yourself, right? Well, and then it's like, well, how does it all tie together, right? And so some practical things. One of the things I saw, I don't know if I can pull it up or not real quick, but I just saw an article. I just saw an article yesterday on Alzheimer's disease or total morbidity with the elderly. It was omega 3s and vitamin D in the elderly. And I don't know exactly. There was something right here. The effects of vitamin D and omega 3s. It was like a big news story that just came out yesterday. And it was talking about the effects of vitamin D, omega 3 fatty acids, and home exercise program on prevention of pre-frailty in older adults. That was it right there. And it's like, it's so cool for me. The conclusion was robust, generally healthy, and active older adults without major comorbidities may benefit from a combination of high-dose supplemental vitamin D, marine omega-3s, and exercise with regard to the risk of becoming, I don't know what, pre-frail over 3 years. But they're just talking about health and wellness and the things that we talk about. Be social, get your exercise, take your fish oil, make sure your nervous system is functioning, and do those things so that you can be healthy, right? And I think it's cool. It's always good for me when they come to the party like this, because I think it's cool that it's finally becoming recognized, some of the things that people in the health and wellness world have been talking about for years and years and years. Because really, we're getting tired of that old model. We're getting tired of that. We're getting tired of that old model that's telling us that go to the doctor, take a pill, that's the way you get healthy, right? We've run that model long enough in the United States to understand that we're the sickest group of people in the history of mankind, and that we've been taking statin drugs since the 70s, and we still heart disease is the number one killer of people in America, right? Like, you don't solve your diabetes problem with metformin. It's not the way it works. And so we finally are coming around and saying, hey, there's actually some research that's backing this stuff up. And I'm like, yes, there is some research to back this stuff up. So now let's take it. And go further with it and understand what it is that we're actually doing when we're doing all those healthy things. And what we're actually doing, first and foremost, even though there are downstream effects to all those healthy things, what we're actually doing is we're making our brains healthier. Our brains are working better. And because our brains are working better, that's what I drew up last night on the board when I go through that whole brain and everything that's below there. And so I saw some of these articles that kind of jumped out at me. And there's one right here that and this was in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, July 2020, volume 112, number 1, pages 74 through 83. The title is Effects of Oily Fish Intake on Cognitive and Socio-Emotional Function in Healthy 8 and 9-year-old Children. The FISK, the Fisk Junior Randomized Trial. So this was done by a group of people from the University of Copenhagen, Denmark, and the University of Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. The study cites 50 references. And the objective of this study was to investigate whether intake of oily fish compared with poultry affected cognitive function, focusing on measures of attention, processing speed, executive functions, and memory, as well as socio-emotional function in healthy 8-9-year-old children. The study used 199 children who were randomly allocated to receive about 375 grams per week of oily fish or poultry in the control, that's the control group, for 12 weeks. And so it goes in there and talks about that. So that's 375 grams. So that's 3,750 milligrams. So that's what we talk about. 3,000 milligrams is our baseline of omega-3s, right? But let's talk about, let's look at a couple of these comments from the article. One of the key points of the article is nutrition plays an important role in brain development and cognitive function. Nutrition plays an important role in brain development and cognitive function. What we are feeding our children is going to affect them for the rest of their lives. Right? What the food that our children are eating. And I remember when the kids were little and Jacob was playing Little League baseball, and we'd go out to the ballpark. And I remember watching a mom one time get a Dr. Pepper from the concession stand and take the lid off of the sippy cup and pour that Dr. Pepper in that sippy cup for that child. That must have been a 3 or 4-year-old child, and they're drinking Dr. Pepper out of a sippy cup. And I just looked at that and I was just like, man, like, does that mom have any idea? Does that mom have any idea what she's doing to that child's brain? She does not. She would not do that. She would not take her child out into the middle of the highway and put some toys down in the middle of the highway and say, here, go play with the toys, right? She wouldn't do that. But she doesn't know that she's killing that child's future by making that brain function worse, by adding that refined carbohydrate and all those things. And I did the same thing with my kids at certain times. The kids have never had a Coke in their entire life. Jacob's about to be 26. I don't know what he's done since he's been in college, but Caitlin's 23. They never had a Coke in their entire life. Like, that is one of the things that I did right as a parent. And that's why I bring this information to you, is because I'm trying to share with you my life story, so that if there's anything in my life story that might help you and your family, then maybe you could take some of that here. So the article says long chain omega-3s basically grow together. It was actually ACCRETE. Never heard that word in my entire life. Accrete, I believe. And I had to look it up. It means grow together, which is huge right there. I'll look it up one more time just to make sure that I did have it right. But that to grow together, adhere, to add, as by growth. So to grow together. Now think about that for just a second. There's a kind of a new phrase, relatively new phrase. I don't know how old it is, but I've just started hearing it here lately about neurons that fire together, wire together, right? That's a phrase when it's talking about the brain, about how we fire those neurons when we're young, and they wire together, and then they grow together and they work. Well, I had to look up this word, but think how awesome this is right here when it's saying long chain omega-3s grow together in the brain during childhood and affect brain development. Like, they actually become part of your brain. They actually get involved. Like, it's part of the synapses that help the brain work with serotonin and dopamine. And there's another article here in a second. If we have time to get to it, then we'll get to it and talk about the serotonin part of the whole thing. But intake of omega-3 long-chain fatty acids, especially DHA, is considered particularly important for neuronal development during early infancy, where a substantial amount of DHA is, there that word again, accreted in the brain. So it's super important. Now, where in early infancy will the child get their omega-3s, right? Well, especially in the womb, and before that, but they're getting those omega-3s from the mom. They're getting that DHA from the mom. Remember what we talked about on depression? I think it was Monday, might have been Tuesday, where we talk about postpartum depression. Why are moms getting postpartum depression? There's a couple of different reasons. It's a hormonal thing. They're not getting on their feet. They're not moving and doing the things that they had been doing in the past. They're exhausted to death and all the things that go along with being a mom. But one of the major factors is that mom gave her DHA to the baby, and now mom's DHA tank is low. And so it's important for mom to make sure that she's taking her fish oil or eating her fish, so that she can make sure that she is getting that DHA for her brain to function properly. This accretion continues throughout childhood, especially in the frontal cortex, involved in cognitive functions such as executive functions, attention, and memory, as well as in socio-emotional function. Right? Those are big deals. The frontal cortex involved in cognitive function, the ability to break things down, to understand things, to work through problems. Those things, such as executive functions. What are important? What's not important? How do I handle this day? How do I run my life? How do I do things properly? Attention. Remember, there's 5 types of attention, and we will get to that as a major part of that book that I learned, but we will get to that. There's 5 types of attention, and only focused attention is in the left hemisphere. The right hemisphere helps us handle the other levels of attention. That's one of the things I've talked about with my glasses. I hate my glasses. And you guys, if anybody out there is in the glasses world and you could fix this problem, you would become a billionaire if you could fix this problem. Because what these glasses do, because they're no lens bifocals, they change my peripheral information. They make everything blurry except for right what I'm looking into. Like, if I want to look at this screen, I literally, if I can look at one point right there and I can see those letters fine, but if I turn my head that far, all of a sudden that becomes blurry. And what that means to me is that this periphery of these glasses are changing the neurological input into my right hemisphere, where those other 4 levels of attention are. I have to, a lot of times, if I can't think of a word, I will have to take my glasses off so that I can actually get my right brain to start to fire properly, so that my right brain will tell my left brain the word that I'm supposed to say. If you guys listened to this show for the last 4 months, you know when I'm trying to read, sometimes I sound illiterate. And I promise you, I'm not illiterate. I did go to school in Roswell, New Mexico, but I'm not illiterate. And that was just a joke, by the way. And so, but that's attention. And what is one thing that's important in attention? Omega-3 fatty acids, right? One thing that's important in attention is omega-3 fatty acids. So it's a big deal right there. Fish affects cognition and emotion in children. In children functions in emotional regulation, impulse control, and social behavior, which continue to develop until early adult. Fish affects fish effects on cognition and emotion in children's function in emotional regulation, impulse control, and social behavior. Is your child very impulsive? Does your child have problems in social behavior? One of the things that they may be deficient in is fish oil. And that's what Kim was just saying. We get adults that come in that go through the nutritional program. And when they go through the nutritional program, and the first thing that we add to the list is, or one of the things that we check is omega 6-3 ratio to know exactly where you are in your 6-3 ratio so that we can get you the fish oil that you need. And what we get back in reports is we get back reports that say, I don't crave alcohol. Now, why would that person say that? Right? What could possibly be we've done this, and we're going to do it again right now because you know how much I love doing it. But why would someone say that? Why would someone come in, go through a nutritional program, and then their report back to us is that they now don't crave alcohol? Can you imagine? Can you break that down? And probably some of you can break that down. Some of you can already, just without me even getting to this, some of you can already break down exactly what that is. And we'll just do it. We'll just do it really quickly right here and get back to that article. But remember our brain. And remember, it has a right side and a left side and a top and a bottom. And this is the right side and this is the left side. And remember how the firing pattern goes. The firing pattern goes that up and to the right, over to the left, right? Well, what is going on that left side is we have that pie chart, that little, not a pie. I don't know why I keep calling that a pie chart. Maybe it's because my glasses are on, right? So we have this graph right here. This bell curve is what that is. And the bell curve has the sweet spot in the middle. That's the sweet spot of dopamine. That's where we want to get to, is right there. That's the dopamine we need. And if we're too low, we have no energy. And if we're too high, we're irritable. Now, why is a person drinking alcohol in the first place? There's only one answer, in my opinion, why they're drinking alcohol. They're only drinking alcohol because they're deficient in dopamine on the left brain. That's my opinion. That's my opinion based on my study, and I'm sharing it with you right there. There's no other reason, because it doesn't taste good. You're not drinking it because it tastes good. You're drinking it to change the chemistry in your brain. And you don't like the chemistry in your brain, and the chemistry in your brain is depressive, or it's got anxiety, or it's overflowing with stress. And what do all those things, where do all of those things take place? They take anxiety, depression, frontal lobe, dealing with that stress, right? So what we get is we lose this crossover. We become deficient in dopamine on the left hemisphere, which has an affinity for dopamine, and now we go searching for the alcohol. So what do we do in the nutrition program? We just gave the person omega-3 fatty acids. We gave the person omega-3 fatty acids, and we just explained to them a little bit about how their brains worked. And what did we end up getting? We ended up getting a decreased urge to consume alcohol. That makes 100% sense to me. That makes sense to me. I just mapped it for you. I just mapped why it makes sense. Now, my question to you is this: is that person better off in society when their brain is working better for them? Yes, right? Is that person better off? I think they are. I think they're better off in society. I think society is better off because of that. I think that person now contributes to a better world. I think if we get enough of those people together, we make the world different. And that's what Dr. McGilchrist was talking about right there. He's saying that there is a correlation. And I heard it when I was in chiropractic school with Dee Dee Palmer and BJ Palmer when they talked about the big idea. They talked about the big idea in chiropractic, and it was talking about the subluxation. The subluxation dims the light of the person and causes them to be less of a light in the world, and dims the world if we get enough subluxated people. And the person that can come along and remove the subluxation and restore the light can change the world. I love it. I mean, I don't know if anybody else loves it, but I absolutely love it. I mean, that's a hill I'll die on right there. I'm willing to dedicate my whole life to that deal right there. Like, man, you can change the world, right? And what is Dr. McGilchrist saying? He's saying that that we need better brain function. We need more understanding of right side and left side brain so that we can make the world a better place. It's not about your back pain. It's about making the world a better place. Of course, your back pain needs to be solved and resolved and all that sort of thing, but we're trying to make the world a better place, right? So let's get back to this article and see if we can finish this up. Intake of omega-3s could therefore be important for cognitive and socio-emotional development throughout childhood and adolescence. Super important. Oily fish are the primary dietary source of the omega-3 fatty acids, but fish also contain other nutrients that are considered important for the brain. For example, vitamin D, iodine, zinc, and vitamin B12. We previously showed that fish intake was associated with improved school performance, but also with decreased attention in a randomly controlled trial that compared fish-rich school meals with a traditional lunch pack in 8 to 11-year-old children. We previously showed that fish intake was associated with improved school performance, but also with decreased attention. Yeah, I need to break that down and see exactly what that part means. But the results, we found that high intake of oily fish tended to improve overall scores of cognition, performance, and socio-emotional problems in healthy children. Overall cognitive performance scored improved in the fish group compared with the poultry group. Not throwing shade at chicken, I'm just talking about fish. The benefits were dose dependent, with a better effect in those with higher consumption of fish and higher levels of these fatty acids in their erythrocytes. So that's one of the things that I get people say, I tried fish oil, it didn't work. That is not the way it works. It's not, I tried fish oil and it didn't work. Fish oil works that because it's helping the brain function better. And you just got to make sure that you got to be able to get the levels of fish oil up to where they're supposed to be. And if you don't get those levels high enough, then you won't see the benefit of them. So that's why it's so important right there. Our findings support a dose-dependent beneficial effect on oily fish consumption on cognitive performance in healthy children and indicate improvements in attention, cognitive flexibility, and socio-emotional problems. So that's, I mean, think about the impact of what that means right there. That's just one part of how nutrition can help the brain. And you can make your kid smarter and more social and a better kid if you just would get them to take their fish oil. That is, if you didn't change anything else in their life and you just got them to take their fish oil, you could make your children smarter and develop their frontal lobes better. That DHA grows in your brain. It becomes part of you. It makes your body function better, and it makes your brain function better. So I mean, if you can get your brain to function better, then you can't be healthy without your brain functioning better. That's just fact. And so you got to get your brain to a certain level in order to get your health to a certain level. So I hope you guys enjoyed that show. I hope you enjoyed Kim and having her on the show. And I really look forward to seeing you guys here in the office. If you need to get a nutritional evaluation and you'd like for someone to help you with that, Kim's great at that, and we would do a great job here for you at the Rock. So hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you again tomorrow night at 6.